On this episode of Team Pilipinas, Gilas Pilipinas is back in the Calamba bubble. Where will the team go from here?
It's fun because we finally get together, finally practice, be around people that we like, and everybody here is a family.
We explore the future of the Philippine wrestling team.
Basically, everything was stopped. And then after a few months, we had a lot of supporting gyms that started closing as well.
And look back on the days of glory of the country's first and only overall champion at the Mr. and Miss Universe.
Sasayangin ko ba yung training ko for like a year na pinaghirapan ko? It's only a matter of time. So for me, no, as long as there's time, for me, there's still hope.
Welcome to Team Pilipinas. I am 𝐓𝐞𝐚𝐦 Guevara. Gilas Pilipinas is finally allowed to train as a team. Now, where will Gilas go from here?
We now have as our guest on Team Pilipinas, 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐲. George, hello, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Sir Boyet. It's been tough. I haven't been able to play the sport that I love. I've been in home quarantine, but I also understand that I'm blessed to be in a position where I can stay with my family and stay safe while other people are struggling. So I'm really grateful for that.
In all this time, I'm sure you've been trying to keep fit. What have you been doing to keep your physique as well as your physical conditioning in top shape?
For one was that I invested in a trainer. I finally, so I can have my weights program fixed, my conditioning program fixed. And at the same time, I invested in some equipment. And lastly, is just to have to put in the work.
Ever since nung nag-start pa lang yung quarantine back in March last year, alam natin na parang hindi naman ata magiging 1 month lang itong quarantine na to. So, my family and I had to get ready. And thankfully enough naman, nakapag-build kami ng sarili namin gym sa bahay. Before siguro mga April ata yun, nakabuild na kami ng gym namin. So nakakapag weights training kami. Yun nga lang, yung basketball court, yung medyo unavailable. Kasi yun nga, syempre, sarado yung mga court, tinatanggalan pa ng ring yung mga iba sa mga village para lang hindi makapaglaro yung ibang tao. Pero understandable naman yun. And I just really had to work with what I had.
Was that difficult not being able to practice on an actual court, at the very least a half court setup, just to be able to do actual moves?
Well, syempre, mahirap rin po. Pero kasi yung sa lagay namin, bumili po kami ng parang yung adjustable na ring. Tapos sa driveway namin lagay. Syempre, yung driveway, hindi naman siya patag eh. Hindi naman siya patag na, alam mo, parang tabla. Kahit tabla man lang, parang medyo slanted down or slanted upwards. Tapos puro bato-bato pa. So, minsan yung bola, pag dribble mo, kung saan pupunta, alam mo yun. Pero, yun nga, wala naman talagang nagkaroon ng or nagkagusto ng nangyari sa atin lahat ngayon sa pandemic. Pero yun, we just had to really adjust and just find ways on how to get better and how to stay fit at least.
For the past months or even the entire pandemic, Gilas has been in and out of the bubble, so to speak. Even right after the Southeast Asian Games, the team has been in and out of the bubble. Can you kindly tell us how this experience has been?
For one, it's fun because we finally get together, finally practice, be around people that we like, and everybody here is a family. So that's really a good thing that we get to get back in training, progress towards the goal of being competitive and becoming better basketball players. But at the same time, we know that in a bubble setting, it's quite difficult in the sense that players can't come in and out as quickly, coaches can't come in and out as quickly. So we're limited to by who comes in, and we have to stick with that. And at the same time, for us, it's spending time away from our families. It's tough, especially in this time of pandemic. We want to stay with our families. We want to be around people that we love. But we have to sacrifice that to also play the sport that we love.
Maya-maya, nasa loob kayo ng bubble. Maya-maya, hindi naman pwede because of the restrictions.
Yep.
How big of a disadvantage has this been, not only for you, but for the rest of the team?
Well, syempre, naging disadvantage siya and advantage kasi, first of all, as a disadvantage kasi parang may times na maganda na yung groove, maganda na yung momentum ng team sa practices. And pero we just have to cut it short for, kunyari, nung last bubble, nagkaroon ng 𝐏𝐸𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐩𝐢𝐳 bigla, tapos yung Laguna nagsabi sa Inspire, kung nasan kami ngayon na parang bawal mag-operate, bawal mag-practice yung mga players. So pinauwi kami lahat and medyo nawala yung group namin dun, and so we had to be on standby for the next bubble. And siguro mga 2 weeks later yun, and since 𝐏𝐸𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢 di ako napag-basketball na masyado, so parang back to zero ulit. Pero advantage naman din sa in and out the bubble. Kasi syempre mahirap talaga yung naka-lock ka lang talaga sa isang place na parang puro basketball lang. Even though na yun nga, buhay namin basketball. Pero syempre may gusto rin kaming gawin na parang spend time with our families, spend time with our friends.
The Olympic qualifiers as well as the FIBA Asia Cup tournament qualifiers is just around the corner. Tell us what are the preparations for both, and also what is the immediate goal for each of these tournaments?
I think it's just right now for preparation is getting everybody back on the same page. We've had a lot of layovers, a lot of disruptions because of the pandemic, and trying to get everybody back into basketball shape, because even though we try to stay fit, getting into basketball shape is completely different. And then I think for the goal is just to win, is to try and win, to become the best, to put our best foot forward, play our best, and be competitive. We understand that it's going to be a tough challenge ahead, but we're all excited. We're all ready to get ready to go, and we can't wait to play.
It's really great to be able to represent the country in these games na parang kasi dati, nung high school ako, pinapanood ko lang sila Kiefer, sila Bobby Ray, maglalaro sa mga SEA Games, yung mga FIBA Asia Cup, yung mga PBA players. So right now where I'm at, parang kahit na hindi pa rin naman ako sure na makapaglaro doon, or at least in the pool, or at least in siguro one of the options of being in the team, it's really nakakataba ng puso, and syempre parang nakakasaya talaga kasi syempre hindi mo akalain na few years ago nagnonood ka ng mga best players in the Philippines na makipaglaban sa iba't ibang bansa. Pero yun, I'm really grateful, and when it comes to the team naman, I think we're really preparing ourselves each and every day. We really have to work on our chemistry as a team, our experience, especially kasi we're a bunch of young players, but we already have to act as professionals, as Coach Tab says.
The tournaments that are in the horizon are, as always, they're tough tournaments. But the prospects of having a Kai Soto and 𝐏𝐸𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢, either one of them or even maybe both of them at the same time, is one thing that a lot of people are looking forward to. How about you guys?
Definitely. When you have not only two 7-footers, but two 7-footers who provide a new different dynamic on the team, different aspects. 𝐴NJ brings his energy, his relentlessness on the boards, his motor, and his defensive prowess, while Kai comes in and brings his skill, his international experience, and really that we finally have two legit 7-footers on the team. When was the last time you can remember Gilas having that kind of front line? So it's just really exciting to see what these two guys can do in the future together, and it's really exciting for the bright future for Gilas.
It's really nice to have the 7-footers in your corner, kumbaga, and in your team na are really dependable and are really, really skilled. Talking about 𝐴NJ and Kai, kasi we've always been lacking in height in the Philippines. So now that we have like two really, really, really tall guys and really skilled guys, it's really something to look forward to in the future and something to be excited about.
For the people that have joined the pool only now, are there any surprises that you've been seeing, or surprises from the ones that have been there before and are back again? Are you seeing any surprises?
Not really, because to begin with, if the coaches see something in you, that's why they call you in to be part of the pool. There is something in you that they want to see, that they like, or they see that they can build upon. So, and everybody has their highs and lows. It's been really competitive. Everybody's pushing one another, and off the court, everybody's getting well together. So it's like you're building more than a team. You're building a culture, you're building a community with one another, and that even though maybe this may not be your time, you'll be considered in part of the future. So it's really everybody's been really impressive. It's been really fun to be around these guys, and it's been really competitive.
Well, George, it is always a pleasure to talk hoops with you. We wish you always the best of luck. And thank you again for joining us here on Team Pilipinas.
Bahagi na ng buhay nating mga Pilipino ang sports. Mula sa panahon ng unos, sa tamis ng tagumpay, sa kabila ng pagbabago ng buhay, ang Philippine Sports Commission ay patuloy na maglilingkod sa sambayanan at atletang Pilipino.
Hello, my name is Dennis Principe and you're watching Team Pilipinas, and we will be talking about the sport of fencing. And joining us for today's episode is US-based Filipino fencer Samantha Catantan. Samantha, welcome to our program.
Thank you po. Thank you for having me po.
All right, and siguro before natin alamin yung future mo, no, you just came off a very exciting na tournament, yung Olympic qualifier in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. You were parang 2 slots short of making it to the Olympics. But talking about the positives of that event, ano yung bagay na bago at something new na natutunan mo na hindi mo pa nakikita sa mga previous events na sinalihan mo?
Actually po, hindi po siya bago eh. Ito po talaga yung alam ko po na wala ako, which is yung confidence po. Kasi kapag yung mga kalaban ko po kilala po talaga sila eh. Kilala sila ng mga referee, halos kilala po sila ng buong mundo kasi po lagi silang nasa competition, gano'n. Tapos marami na po silang napatunayan. Tapos ako po parang, kasi bihira lang po kami sumali sa competition eh. So yung confidence ko po, hindi po parang ganun kataas. Ganun po. So, sa competition po na to, sobrang nakita ko po talaga yung difference na kapag may tiwala ka po sa sarili mo, wala pong imposible. Kaya mo po talaga gawin yung kaya mo pong manalo, basically.
So, ano yun, Samantha? Are you telling me na parang yung confidence, dun mo lang na-develop?
Nakita ko po yung difference nung game ko sa Tashkent, bukod po sa mga previous game ko po before. Parang ganun po. Tapos yung last match ko po, parang down po kasi ako eh. Medyo parang naangatan po ako sa umpisa. Tapos nung bandang huli na po, parang hindi, kasi po ako, defensive player po. Kaya parang puro po ako atras-atras lang, ganun. Bihira po talaga, hindi po ako attacker, ganun. Tapos, itong competition na to, parang kinailangan ko po magtiwala sa weakness ko. Parang ganun po.
Okay. Yun nga, kanina, sa opening natin, nabanggit ko na you were that close. Ano ba, masakit ba sa'yo na parang meron bang feeling na, naku, yung panghihinayang ba? Or is it the other way around? Yung iba kasi, meron mga atleta na parang, now I know na konti pa, kaya ko na mag-Olympics. After all, meron pa naman 2024, enough time para makapag-prepare for that. No? Honestly speaking, yung feeling mo immediately after the event?
Actually po, nung after the event, sobrang malungkot po talaga ako kasi po syempre, gusto ko po talagang makalaro po si Amita Berger, yung from Singapore po, yung nanalo po sa Olympic qualifying. Gusto ko po talaga maglaro sa finals. And syempre gusto ko pong makapasok sa Olympics. Pero po, yun nga po, hindi po ako ganun na down eh. Mas na-motivate pa po ako na mas mag-training pa. Kasi nga po, nung nangyari po last year and up until now po, yung pandemic po, sobrang laking na-feel ko po na hindi rin ako ganun ka-prepared po para sa competition na to. Kasi almost a year po kaming break, almost a year po na online training lang yung ginagawa namin. So, and even this year po, nung umpisa pa lang po ng taon, hindi naman po namin alam kung may Olympic qualifying po, kung matutuloy po yung Olympics eh. Kasi po, lahat po talaga unstable because of the pandemic. So, ayun po, mas na-motivate po ako na mas mag-training pa kasi nakita ko po na hindi po talaga malayo yung difference eh. Na kami pong mga Filipino fencers po na kaya po talaga namin makapasok ng Olympics.
Siguro, backtrack muna tayo sandali, ano? Alam mo, dito sa Pilipinas, ang sport lang talaga rito ng mga bata, basketball, volleyball, to some extent, yung mga, kahit pa paano, yung mga contact sports, nagigain na rin ng mga following sa mga bata, karate, taekwondo, fencing, medyo marami pa rin sa mga bata it's something new pa rin sa kanila. Siguro ikaw muna personally, paano ka napasok at ano yung mga influences mo? Sino yung mga influences mo in trying the sport?
Actually po, vacation po no 9 years old po ako. Tapos may sports clinic po sa barangay namin. Free sports clinic po. I think 2007 po, hindi ko na po maalala ko. Pero 2011 po ako nag-start. So, ayun po, libre lang po siya. And naalala ko po kasi kagawad yung lolo ko po that time. And parang nakita niya po na may mga bata pong nagtitraining. Tapos sabi niya po na parang, why not daw po na sumali ako kasi nga bakasyon naman. So yung parents ko po, sige parang kesa nandito ka lang sa bahay, kesa naglalaro ka lang sa labas, why not na i-try mo yung sports na to?
Yung doon sa competitive aspect of it, sabi mo 2011 ka talaga full-time, nag-focus. That's about 4 years after you learned about the sport. Ano naman yung nagsabi sa'yo na this is it, this is the sport na talagang focus ako, bibigay ko lahat and I can see success dito sa sport na to?
Actually nga po, nung bata ako, wala po akong idea about na pwede po ako makakuha ng scholarship because of fencing. Nagustuhan ko lang po talaga siya. And yung first competition ko po, naalala ko, nakakuha po ako bronze, first competition ko po. And syempre po, bago pa lang po ako, parang 3 months pa lang po ako nagtitraining. So, ayun po, dun po nag-start na ayoko po ng bronze lang. Gusto ko pong mag-gold.
Shall we say na parang shoe-in na tayo for the 2024? And, minsan yung mga atleta, ganyan ang problema. If they feel that they are that close, parang medyo nagiging lax. No? Is there some sort of parang meron ka nilalabanan na gano'n na baka medyo mag-relax ka because alam mo na potential Olympian ka talaga come 2024?
Actually, hindi po kasi alam ko po na hindi lang ako yung maghahanda for this Olympics po. And for sure po may mga mas magagaling pa po, may mga magagaling po na players na nag-i-aim din po na makapasok sa Olympics. And alam ko po na may mga athletes po talaga na grabe po yung parang suporta po ng mga, kasi po yung ibang countries po, talaga pong padala sila sa mga competitions abroad, ganun. And alam ko po na hindi lang ako yung maghahanda, so hindi po dapat ako magkampante.
Samantha, without naming names or pointing fingers, to generalize everything, yung support na nakukuha mo, paano ba natin ma-rate? Kulang, medyo kulang, sakto, o sobra?
Ngayon po, hindi po ako, ngayon po satisfied po ako sa suporta po na nare-receive ko from PFA po, Philippine Fencing Federation po, and from PSC, and sa lahat po. Kasi po, natakot po ako eh. Nung pagpunta ko po ng US, natatakot ako na baka hindi na po nila ako ipadala sa mga competitions. Kasi nga po, first of all, hindi naman nila ako nakikita nagtitraining. Kasi po nandito ako. So, ang tanging mabibigay ko lang is mga videos po, ganun, mga pictures na nagtitraining talaga ako. So, natatakot po ako. And ngayon po, sobrang nagpapasalamat po ako na patuloy po talaga nila akong sinusuportahan. And yun nga po, nung World Championships po sa Egypt, pinadala po nila ako. And nung sa Olympic qualifying po, pinadala rin po nila ako. So, sobrang thankful po talaga ako.
And apparently, hindi sila nagkamali, ano? Because let's face it, no, hindi naman natin masasabing talaga malaki yung chance mo itong Olympics because apparently ang tinatarget yung 2024, but you came that close, no, too close na mag-qualify. So perhaps it's safe to say that you exceeded the expectations, no, sa'yo.
Thank you po.
Okay. All right. So Samantha, we thank you very much for joining us. We wish you all the best. And kami dito sa ating program, no, we guarantee you of our support all the way to the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Thank you po. Thank you po. Thank you so much for having me po.
And that was Samantha Catantan, a member of the Philippine National Fencing Team. Again, my name is Dennis Principe and you are watching Team Pilipinas.
Welcome back to Team Pilipinas. I'm Nisi Casiano. The Philippines has added another athlete to its growing roster of Olympians. Filipino rower Chris Nevares has secured the ticket to the Tokyo Olympics. The Philippine Rowing Association has made the announcement on Monday, May 10, that Nevares will compete in the men's singles sculls in the Summer Games this July. Joining us to talk more about this feat is Chris Nevares himself. Chris, glad to have you on the program today.
Good afternoon po. Thank you po. Thank you po.
First of all, congratulations for qualifying for the Tokyo Olympics. But this came as a big surprise. Umuwi kayo ng Pilipinas nang hindi nyo nakuha ang tunay na pakay nyo. Pero sa isang iglap, nagbago ang ihip ng hangin. Maaari mo bang ikwento yung oras na malaman mo ang balita na makakapaglaro ka sa Tokyo Olympics?
Nalaman namin yung result na pang 9th place po ako na may chance po na umusog hanggang pumasok ako sa top 5. Pero hindi pa po kami kumpiyansa. Kaya hinantay po talaga namin yung final result na ibibigay po ng World Drawing. Tapos after ko po mag-workout, pagtingin ko sa cellphone ko, yun yung agad din nabasa ko na qualify na daw po ako sa Tokyo Olympics. Ano po, sobrang saya. Hindi mo may paliwanag yung nararamdaman mo.
Ngayon ba, tingin mo, mas nalalasap mo yung bawat hirap at effort na binuhos mo sa ensayo? Ngayon, parte ka na ng delegasyon na sasabak sa Tokyo.
Yes po, yung lahat ng pinaghirapan po namin, lalo na ako, ng mga coaches, mula nung kampanya po namin talaga ng Olympics, nag-start po talaga kasi siya nung bago mag-SEA Games po. Yung preparation po namin ng SEA Games, nung dumating na po si Coach Okrat, nag-umpisa na po din yung goal namin na may ma-qualify sa Olympics noong 2020, pero dahil nga po pandemic, na move po siya ngayon. Tapos ayun po, sobrang saya po namin buong team na after 20 years na walang Philippine rowing na nagrepresenta sa Olympics, ngayon po napasama po tayo.
Sa qualifiers pa lang, nagkaroon ka na ng magandang scouting report eh. Para sa iyo, gaano kalaki ang tsansa na makapag-uwi tayo ng medalya mula sa sport na ito?
Yung pong ang goal kasi ng Philippine rowing po talaga is makalapit po sa mga mas matataas na bansa. Kung hindi man po makakakit ng podium, at least yung ranking ko medyo dumikit sa kanila, at kung sa susunod na pagkakataon sa next Olympic kayo baka kayang mag-medal na.
Aling mga bansa ang nakikita mong magbibigay sa iyo ng malaking pagsubok sa iyo pagdating ng Tokyo Olympics?
Sa Asia po talaga, hindi po talaga mawawala yung China, Japan, Asia. Pagdating naman po sa Olympics talaga, nandiyan na po kasi lahat ng country. So yung mga European po, yung mga New Zealand, nandiyan po yung mabibigat na kalaban na sa Australia. Yan po yung mga team na matataas na
susubukan nating dikitan sa pamagitan po ng preparation po natin mula ngayon hanggang Olympics po.
Mula malaman mo yung balita na pasok ka na sa Tokyo Olympics, ano ang plano ng coaches mo patungkol sa programa at paghahanda mo para dito?
Actually po, parating na po yung foreign coach namin from Uzbekistan. Siya po yung coach namin ng SEA Games at magko-continue po siya ngayon para bigyan ako ng sariling program para po sa hanggang Olympics po.
Now, let's talk about, nabanggit mo na rin naman to earlier. The last rowing athlete to represent the Philippines in the Olympics was Benji Tolentino in the year 2000 in Sydney. Mahigit 2 dekada kung tutuusin ngayon, nagawa mong makapasok sa Tokyo Olympics. Tingin mo ba magandang itong oportunidad para mas lalo pang pagandahin ang programa upang hindi na tayo maghintay pa ng ganong katagal?
Si Kuya Benji po yung naging last na Olympian sa Philippine rowing po. Mula nung una naman po talaga si Kuya Benji, sinusuportahan niya na po ako bawat race ko po sa La Mesa Dam at pagkasama po siya sa ibang bansa mag-compete. Siya po talaga yung nandyan din na nag-guide sa akin kung ano yung mga ginawa niya nung nag-Olympic siya, kung ano yung mga ensayo na ginawa niya, pagpapalakas para makalapit sa mga high ranking na mga atleta po sa Olympic.
Now, ngayon, officially, lalaho ka sa Tokyo. Naniniwala ka ba na mas malaki pa ang pwedeng maging impact nito sa sport mo kapag nakapag-uwi ka ng medalya?
Siguro pagpupursige na lang po siguro yung magiging gabay sa akin para pala rin makakuha ng medal o makaakyat sa podium. At magiging malaking impact po talaga siya sa Philippine rowing kasi sana may mga sumuporta sa Philippine rowing na para mas makilala yung rowing sa buong Pinas kasi hindi po talaga siya sikat. Unlike mga basketball, boxing, kilalang kilala po sa Pilipinas. Para magiging way po ako para mas makilala yung rowing sa Pilipinas.
As of this interview, 8 Pilipino ang magdadala ng bandila ng Pilipinas sa Tokyo. Gaano ka kasaya na makakasama mo sa kampanya sila Heidelin Diaz, Yumir Marcial at iba pa?
Masaya po, isang karangalan na makasama sila sa Olympics at isang malaking karangalan din po na may representa yung patawat ng Pilipinas sa ganong kataas na competition. At ayun po, masaya po, masaya.
Chris, maraming salamat. We wish you nothing but the best this coming Olympics.
We explore the future of the Philippine wrestling team.
Basically, everything was stopped. And then after a few months, we had a lot of supporting gyms that started closing as well.
Bahagi na ng buhay nating mga Pilipino ang sports. Mula sa panahon ng unos, sa tamis ng tagumpay, sa kabila ng pagbabago ng buhay, ang Philippine Sports Commission ay patuloy na maglilingkod sa sambayanan at atletang Pilipino.
With all the complications caused by this pandemic, the national wrestling team will no longer be going to any Olympic qualifiers. What is their target for the SEA Games and how do they plan to get there? Let's find out.
Welcome to Team Pilipinas. I'm 𝐏𝐤𝐤𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐩𝐢𝐧𝐚𝐬. The 2019 SEA Games became a platform for the resurgence of Philippine wrestling in international competition. It led many to believe that sending Filipino wrestlers to the Olympics is once again possible. However, the pandemic struck and officials had no other choice but to put that Olympic dream on hold in the meantime. Now, we talked to Alvin Aguilar, the president of the Wrestling Association of the Philippines, to find out what steps they are taking to ensure that the future remains bright for Philippine wrestling. When the pandemic struck, the national wrestling team was coming off a remarkable 2019 SEA Games campaign. Can you walk us through the original plan and the programs led out by WAP before the COVID-19 set us all back?
Okay. Well, it's pretty heartbreaking to talk about, seriously, but here we go. After the SEA Games, okay, what do you call it? We made sure that we would go full blast in our plan to expand wrestling, our grappling programs, our pancreation programs, all over the country. Okay, so we already had that, but we had to take it up a step further by having national tournaments, regional tournaments, and the like. So right before the pandemic struck, so we already heard about it happening in China, in other countries. We said, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's have our nationals. So we were still able to have our nationals. It was it was the biggest national tournament we've ever had for wrestling in our country. So we had our freestyle, our Greco-Roman, our women's wrestling. We had our grappling tournament. We had our pancreation tournament. We had our belt wrestling. Everything was there. We had so many, everybody from Luzon to Mindanao showed up. So we were very, very happy. After that, 2 weeks after, the pandemic struck, we were locked down, and that was it. Okay, so as everybody knows, in wrestling, it's a contact sport. You need someone to wrestle with. Okay, so of course, being a contact sport, that was one of the first sports to suffer right away because, you can only be conditioned. But if you're not wrestling with somebody, and then you're not really moving up. It's just like in mixed martial arts. People have to know that it's not just one person, two people training. You're training with a whole bunch. It's a whole team behind you. So it's the same thing in wrestling. So from there we really, really suffered. Our seminars in schools, our expansions in other schools was also stopped. Basically everything was stopped. And then after a few months, we had a lot of supporting gyms that started closing as well. Of course, it would be very, very hard to pay rent when this is going on. There's no income. I wish I could give like a sunny, a sunny disposition about the wrestling programs the last 2 years, but I just can't.
The 2019 SEA Games holds a lot of promise because it was the first wrestling event since 2013 where we finished last. Fast forward to 2019, the Philippines finished at second. That's a big leap. How difficult is it for you to know that the current situation is way beyond your control and sustaining that momentum from the last SEA Games is unattainable at the moment?
Yes, for 2019, actually what happened was, before that, we were able to have the SEA Championship. Okay, so in the SEA Championship, we had all of our events in. If all of the events under our international federation are included, we will always win that overall. So what happened was, even if it was in our country, there were a lot of politics that happened. We were not allowed to put in our grappling events. If we had our grappling events, we would have taken the whole thing. We would have gotten first place, and we would have had more than at least 10 medals. But even then, we still managed a very, very strong second place. We beat the usual powerhouses, like by a wide margin, like Thailand, Indonesia. We beat them, and then Vietnam was always the number one here in the region, even back then. And then when we did the SEA Championship, we beat them. But since not all of our events were included, they got first place. We had very good training in Russia. So, these guys were trained with world-class people. So when they got there, they were all ready to go. Everybody got a medal. But then, yes, unfortunately, this happened. We're actually the only Southeast Asian country right now who does not, number one, does not have a complete lineup. Number two, has not really, commenced actual training. We do things online. We've done things sporadically, but so many things happen in between. Let's say, for example, when this happened, we said, because when all of this happened, we wrote the IATF, we wrote everybody so we could start training. But of course, the IATF has too many concerns.
At
A lot of
saka
concerns. And of course, letting these people, even if they're national athletes, train is, the bottom of the barrel for them. So, we just never got around to it. No matter how many letters we wrote, that affected everything. Even our Olympic qualifications, qualifiers, it really affected everything. And even if we tried to start our training, we had coaches who were positive. We had athletes who were positive also, because our athletes, we have to understand, are also enlisted in the military, and unfortunately they were made frontliners. Several of them, their job was actually to watch COVID patients. So we had athletes who were supposed to qualify for the Olympics who got COVID, not just once but twice. And it's a good thing they were wrestlers, so their bodies were strong. They were able to take it. But, I cannot, as much as I wanted training to happen, I cannot risk all the other athletes, because you can't just grapple with one person. You can't just wrestle with one person. You have to wrestle with several. So it would be very hard to make all these moving pieces move around. And, because everything has to work perfectly. And when we finally got there, PSC, of course, always supports. We got the budget for Belarus. But the problem was, in Bulgaria, the problem was the visa part of Bulgaria that gives visas to everybody all of a sudden closed because of COVID as well. So that affected a lot of other countries. We weren't just the other one, the only one singled out. There are several other countries that really got affected by this, and it is what it is. We can only do so much. There's too many moving pieces. Our grappling team hasn't stopped training but that's only because they're families. There's actual fathers who are their coaches, and they're the students, and then the other people live with them. With our wrestlers for freestyle and Greco-Roman, it's the complete opposite. They're not family, and they're all enlisted. So that was a problem getting them all together. But we really had to pull the plug. This is really heartbreaking for all of us. Me personally also as well. But there's only so much you can do. We're a contact sport, and I can't make our national athletes break the law as well.
Now, Chief, you mentioned about the SEA Games. What are the next steps that WAP will be taking, especially that we're months away from the 2021 SEA Games in Hanoi?
Regardless of what happens, we're starting next month. Okay, we'll do our testing on ourselves. Okay, people want to arrest us, fine us, chastise us, whatever. We're pushing through next month. I'm ready to take the risk. Everybody else is ready to take the risk. We'll do our own testing, but then after that, the PSC will be giving us a bubble training in Baguio, where the same thing will happen. But regardless, we're starting already because everybody else has started. And then after a few months, we're sending the guys to Russia once again. One part of the Greco-Roman guys who will be training with Alexander Karelin in his school, the greatest wrestler ever. And then the freestyle guys will be training with 𝐏𝐤𝐿, another world champion. So we'll be separating them. And then when it comes to the SEA Games, we're going to be going all out. We're also getting a 𝐓𝐞𝐚𝐦. His name is Jason Blair. He'll be joining the team as well. So things look very, very good for us for the SEA Games. And we have to make sure that we top our performance last time.
How confident are you heading to Hanoi, knowing that Vietnam, like what you mentioned, is the favorite coming to the event after topping the last SEA Games and as well having that hometown advantage?
Well, we have to remember that the Philippine wrestlers are used to adversity. Okay, so with the past leadership before, we were always used to bad things happening to us. So, and being a wrestler, you're always beaten down, you're always up against adversity. So it's in our nature already to just, we'll bring it on, because everybody there are warriors. We're going to go in and we're going to do our best, and not just do our best. That's, I think, when people say, I did my best. Yeah, that's the thing losers say, I did my best. No, we're going to go in there and we're going to kick ass. Thank you for hearing me out, because, this is something that was, very, very dear to my heart. I really, really wanted everybody to be there in the Olympics, but, these things happen. And, I'll make sure now that we do really well in the SEA Games and the World Championships upcoming. We still have our grappling team who's going to be fighting in the World Championship. So we might have some light at the end of at the end of the tunnel yet.
Best of luck, Chief. And that's 𝐓𝐞𝐚𝐦 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐩𝐢𝐧𝐚𝐬, the President of the Wrestling Association of the Philippines. Again, I'm 𝐓𝐞𝐚𝐦 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐲𝐚𝐬, sumasaludo sa atletang Pilipino. Stay tuned for more sports news and features only here on Team Pilipinas.
Look back on the days of glory of the country's first and only overall champion at the Mr. and Miss Universe.
Sasayangin ko ba yung training ko for like a year na pinaghirapan ko? It's only a matter of time. So for me, no, as long as there's time, for me, there's still hope.
Bahagi na ng buhay nating mga Pilipino ang sports. Mula sa panahon ng unos, sa tamis ng tagumpay, sa kabila ng pagbabago ng buhay, ang Philippine Sports Commission ay patuloy na maglilingkod sa sambayanan at atletang Pilipino.
In her short bodybuilding career, businesswoman and mother of three, Cheryl Nakanishi has accomplished what no one else in the country ever had. And that's winning the overall title at the Mr. and Miss Universe in Germany. And after having been retired for 3 years, is she planning a comeback?
Nung time na nag-start kasi ako, nakita ko yung progress niya. So, kumbaga, naging hook ako because of the progress. For the word itself, bodybuilding, you create your body, you mold your body. And that's what makes me feel, hook. Kaya ako siya napiling sports. It challenged me. So, for me, yun yung naging motivations ko. So, kumbaga, nakikita ko yung progress. Every time I work out, the following day, I see progress. So for me, I think, naging passion ko siya.
Ano yung unang naging target mo nung naging competitor ka?
Of course, to become a champion. To win all that anything else.
Ano yung unang major competition na you set your sights on na I want to win that?
Every competition. From the beginning up to the end. Every competition. My goal is to be a winner. Not second, third, or fourth, but a winner. Yung 𝐓𝐞𝐚𝐦, that was my first competition. Actually, that time, I don't know what to expect because that's my first competition.
Miss Figure 2007 NS International, 𝐏𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐥𝐢𝐲𝐚𝐬, Nakanishi, Philippines.
When I win, I was shocked. Kasi it's my first time eh. Yung mga kasabay ko doon, mga veterano na eh. So that makes me more eager to compete more. To become a bodybuilder, it's not just by a word eh. For me kasi some bodybuilders, naririnig ko sa kanila, we want to compete because we want to experience. Parang for me, it's a wrong, it's a wrong thinking. Diba? You put the same effort, you put the same sacrifice, everything, the same. Pero ang goal mo lang is to have experience. No. The goal should be to become a winner. Sobra. Lahat. From being a wife, mother, everything. Lahat magbabago. Because nakafocus ka sa isang goal. And para magawa mo yun, lahat ng nasa paligid mo, kailangan naiintindihan ka. It's not just you. Kasi kahit focus ka, kung may mga distractions, it will affect you eh. It will affect everything. So bodybuilding, it's like competing, it's like mind and your body should be compromise talaga sila. Nagbigay ako ng deadline kasi I saw some bodybuilders, they competing like 10 years, 15 years, or let's say 5 years for the longest time. So parang yung katawan mo, you keep on doing the same thing. Kumbaga, the effort nga di ba? Yung struggle mo every time you compete. So that's why I put time. Sabi ko, let's say I will compete twice a year or once a year, depends on the events. But then after that, pag na-reach ko yung goal ko, kung ano yung goal ko, then I'll stop. I'll give my body to rest. Because training is not a play. No, it's not. It's a serious thing. For me, ha?
Tapos nung papunta ka na sa universe, what was that preparation like?
It was like, alam mo yung kabayo, yung meron kang tapao, yung goal is only one direction. That's my life. I train, I eat, I go home, I train, I sleep, I eat, I go home. That's why my family, especially my husband and my kids, when I decided to compete in Universe, sila muna yung una kong kinausap. If they will allow me, if they will support me. Kasi kailangan ko sila during my training Kasi wala akong ibang gagawin kundi mag-focus doon. And as good thing, they allow me. And of course, my coach, he was there all along. Of course, nung time na yon, nung paalis ako, I cried before I say goodbye to my coach. Kasi nga, when he told me, last day of my training, nung nagpaalam ako sa kanya, he told me, I'm sorry, I will not be there, but my spirit will be there with you. That's what I can promise. So doon ako nag-hold sa promise niya na yun. Kasi during the training, talagang, he was there talaga. Talagang you will feel that you are a professional bodybuilder. Yun. So during the time na binigyan niya lang ako ng mga instructions that I need to follow. And for me, it was so easy because training is harder to him, ha? So yung instruction niya, yun yung naging guide ko. Sinunod ko lang yun. But then, during the weigh-in, I was over 5 pounds. And it was like, I was, wow, 5 pounds in a span of, 7 hours that I need to lose? And it was like 0 degree that time. So how can you lose that, diba, that weight? So after that, that was 9 o'clock, I told my coach, Coach, I'm over 5 pounds. Okay, you cannot eat, you cannot drink water. You listen to me. So nakinig ako sa kanya. So sabi niya, mag-jogging ako for like 2 hours. For 0 degree, ha? Negative. So, nag-jogging ako. Pagdating ko, over pa rin ako ng 5 pounds. It never went down. Sabi niya, go to sauna. That time na nag-sauna ako, I only have 4 hours left. 4 to 5 hours left. So, alam mo yun, you don't eat, you don't drink water. So, I'm with the other athletes who are also over. So, they asked me how much you over. 5 pounds. Wow. Everyone else in the sauna, wow, that's a lot. I go, yeah, I know, it's a lot. Good luck. They all said, good luck. Yeah, I know. When I asked him, how much you over? 1, 2. So, that time, I go in and out of the sauna for 30 minutes to 1 hour. And then finally, like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, I'm not sure, I think it's 4 o'clock, nakuha ko yung weight ko. I almost cried. Because during the time na I go in and out, nagre-rest ako kasi talagang I feel dizzy na, I feel so weak. But never ko naisip na mag-give up. It's a matter of time na lang, di ba? Sasayangin ko ba yung training ko for like a year na pinaghirapan ko? It's only a matter of time. So for me, no, as long as there's time, for me, there's still hope, sabi ko. Kasi like first time ko, di ba? So hindi ko alam kung ano yung itsura ng stage pagka nandun ka sa unahan. So ako yung unang lumabas sa figure below 40. When I saw the judges, they were like 30 of them. Talagang naka-white. And I was so, wow, I was so shocked. Hindi ko alam na ganun siya ka-prestigious that moment na lumabas ako ng stage. And that time, they were not looking at me. I swear, they're not looking at me. And I'm wondering, kaya din nila ako tinitingnan, oh my God, siguro, ang pangit ko, something like that. Pero still, nakasmile pa rin ako, ganyan. And then, after that, ako yung unang tinawag. So, now I know.
What was the feeling when you finally won?
I can't explain it. So much, hindi ko ma-explain. Parang blackout. Talagang thank God, thank to my coach, to my family, everyone who helped me during my journey. Talagang iba yung feeling.
And then when you got back, surprisingly, nabigyan ka pa ng incentive ng Philippine Sports Commission.
Oo. PSC, thank you so much for giving me the incentive. Thank you very much.
With that experience, syempre high na high ka, no? Hindi ka ba na-tempt na gusto kong bumalik?
Well, actually, nung time na yun, yung coach ko, we were thinking of that. To come back isa pa sa NAC rin. Pero since, yun nga, yung situation natin ngayon, nagkaroon ng pandemic, nag-stop ako mag-workout for like almost 3 years din. So siguro, kung babalik kami, I think, syempre, yung mind and body mo, plus yung family mo, kailangan mo, rearrange them na, this is my goal again, we need to do this, I need to do that. So I need their help also, not just me, para makafocus ako.
So hindi na?
We'll see.
And that's this week's episode of Team Pilipinas. I am 𝐏𝐤𝐤 Guevara, and catch us every Saturday at 4 p.m. only here on PTV para sa Bayan. And always remember, we are all on the same team. We are all Team Pilipinas. See you next week.